let's talk about my grandma Weyer, married to Otto Weyer, who you just heard about, Otto Weyer Sr. So to know my grandma, you really got to understand a little bit of her background, where she came from, or actually her ancestors, okay? So this would be my great-grandpa. Yep, great-grandpa. He came over on a boat, and when he was 16 years old, and as it turns out, his parents said, nope, you're not going. We need you around the farm. I'm guessing on this, and in Germany. And they wouldn't sign for him. 16 years old. He's a little guy, and they wouldn't sign. So what does he do? He gets on a boat. He runs it, takes off. And what does he do? He goes and he's a stowaway on a boat. Family history says that he was small to the point that he could fit into a steamer chest. And there was speculation that what he did is that's how he got on board. He was a little bit of he was a carpenter, actually, at 16 years old, okay? And what he did is he modified a steamer chest, and that's where he was. And then somebody let him out. They knew where he was coming on board, friends, whatever, other family, maybe from another family. And so anyhow, that's how he got out. Once you're out, you kind of mingle with the rest of the people in steerage. Before you know it, you're in the United States. And I also heard that he was found out, but by that time he was a couple, 2-3 days at sea. So there was no way that they were going to pitch him overboard, and there was no way that they were going to go back. So he arrives in New York, okay, 16 years old, small guy. Maybe he has a little bit of money, maybe not too much. Anyhow, whatever he had, he got robbed in New York. Okay, so what is he? He wants to go to get to Manitowoc, actually. So, because that's where his brothers are. So what does he do? He works some odd jobs so that he can make enough money to get to Manitowoc. When he arrives in Manitowoc, he's got literally 15 cents to his name, 15. So what does he do? He goes to the local bar, 16 years old, why not? Time to celebrate. And he buys a 10-cent beer, which included a very nice lunch, and a 5-cent cigar. And he said, I need to get to Cooperstown, okay, which is, 25 miles away, something like that. And the bartender looks at him, and he looks out the window, and he says, I tell you what, he says, this is your lucky day. Once a week, we've got a supply wagon that goes to Cooperstown. And guess what? They're just hooking up the team right now. Get on board. So he arrives in Cooperstown within 2 days, two days, he's working as a carpenter, okay? Guy's got some skills, right? And so he's working in Cooperstown for some years, not too long, and the Peshtigo Fire comes through, wipes out everything in northeast Wisconsin, that area in there. Okay, so that's where he he goes there, and he works making cabinets and just general carpentry work there in Peshtigo, plenty of work. A couple of years later, his brother says, hey, why don't you come on up to Antigo? I've got this planing shop, planing wood, okay, and a furniture shop, okay, and so he works there for a while. Then he comes back to Manitowoc and says, I'm gonna come back to Manitowoc. Comes back to Manitowoc, does a little bit of farming to start with, gets married to my great-grandma, and then decides that what he's going to do is he's going to start a bar. Okay, so he's got a bar, builds it, carpenter, okay, and that bar is still standing on the corner of CR and Clover Road, northeast corner, still there. Burned down in 1920, and he rebuilt it, okay? Actually was serving drinks out of the basement for a while there. By the way, his deal was beer was Nicola beer, 6 for a quarter, 7 in a pinch. I think if you said, geez, I really need one more, and 7 in a pinch, or 8 if there's a lady in the crowd. So that was my great grandpa Henry Detjen. He married a lady by the name of Pape, last name Pape, and as it turns out, her dad. She was born in the United States, but her dad, when he came, he was living in what was basically a short cave there in Manitowoc. Okay, when you came to Manitowoc, and if you didn't have very much, what you did is you lived in, and I'll call them a short cave. Basically, there's some hills to the south of Manitowoc. Think Lincoln High School, and then into Red Arrow Park, that type of thing. There's some hills there, okay, and sandy soil. And what you can do is you can kind of dig in there. Well, maybe it's not totally sand, but you can dig in there, and people were living in those places until they got established. As soon as they got established, and maybe that was a week, or maybe it was a couple of weeks, or whatever the case might be, they'd move out and they'd move into something more permanent. Well, you go and you move out, now all of a sudden there's room for somebody else. So they got used pretty regularly. That's according to my Uncle Harold, or story from him. So the Detjen marries a Pape, and they have a girl. They've got 7, 8 kids, something like that. They've got a girl. Her name is Anna. And Anna marries my grandpa, Otto Sr. Okay, so what do I know about my grandma? She died when I was 5 years old. Dead. Okay, and I'll tell you about that in a bit. And what do I really know about her? I know that she was caring, because anytime that I would go over there and visit, I'd go wander across the road to see my cousin Jim Weyer. And Jimmy he had a great knack of throwing sand in my eyes. I don't know what I was doing. Every time I was a glutton for punishment on this. I'd go over there, he'd throw sand in my eyes. I started crying. I'd go back over to my grandma. My grandma would say, "Oh, Ginny." She'd put this handkerchief over my eyes so I couldn't see, so I kept my eyes closed. And then she'd read to me. And then when she was done with the story, she'd take the handkerchief off, and my eyes felt better. So she was a very caring lady. Like I said, she died when I was 5 years old. And it happened in the driveway there at Hartlip Lake. Mom had 3 of us in the car. There was Nona, Jerry, and me, okay, and we were supposed to follow Grandma Weyer to, I think, her house or something like that. And Sue was along with my Grandma Grandma Weyer. She was along with Grandma, okay. And I remember it was late November, and it was cold outside, and Mom packed us up, right? We're in the car, and she's got the lights on, and she's waiting for Grandma Weyer, right? And Grandma Weyer's like taking forever, right? And her car's Grandma Weyer's car is running, and it's not moving. And it's not moving. And finally my mother said, "Well, what is going on there?" So she goes out, and she says, oh. And she says, "Kids, come on, you got to get in the house." And as it turns out, my Grandma Weyer died of a heart attack. Good thing it didn't happen when she was driving, okay, because Sue was in the car. Anyhow, one of the other interesting things about this is my Aunt Esther, when it cleaned out her refrigerator some days later, and she said to my mother, "I can see why she died. She had nothing but organ parts, animal organ parts, parts that people would eat, okay, I don't know, liver, and I don't know, whatever, kidneys, or whatever the case might be. She had just all sorts of stuff in there that was absolutely bad for you to eat. So, I don't know, maybe that had something to do with it. But anyhow, she seemed like a very nice grandma for what I knew of her. Okay, she had an interesting past, or interesting ancestors, okay, her parents, okay, and once again, keep in mind some of those genes, you know, okay, we got to do whatever we got to do, and we're going to survive. Survivalists, that's what they were. They did things. So, what's next? I think let's go over to the other side, the Myers side of the family, and talk about some of those grandpas. Here we go.